Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I thought I would sit down and do a couple videos for you guys and gals. Sipping some Mootopia. Fat-free Mootopia. One of my staple proteins. Love that stuff. That's my response to people who keep calling me a vegan. I'm literally drinking milk on camera. Just because I think should eat a largely plant-based diet doesn't make me a vegan. That's a weird criticism. I'm drinking milk on camera. This comes from the titty of a cow. All right. That being said, I'm going to address a couple of points people brought up in these last video or so I've done and in the comments. Let's clarify things so that there is no ambiguity. A couple points. Number one, they're like, where's all this new info you're giving? Like 11 years old is not really new. And someone else had said, well, the diet you're doing here isn't what got you repping 315 on the bench. Pretty similar. So let's talk about it. All right, as far as me doing that, I linked one of the guys who did that. I linked a video from 2013, uploaded in 2013, and it was titled Rant. I was ranting about fitness experts claiming that people who exercise store carbohydrates as body fat. I was ranting about the stupidity of it because it's nonsense. Okay, the evidence in support of that existed all the way back then, and it wasn't new research. We've known this since the 90s. Okay, so the current data has built support for this, so it hasn't diminished. So the entire idea that humans store carbohydrates as body fat through de novo lipogenesis to an alarming degree, or like a significant amount, I would say a significant amount. If you could gain 10 pounds of body fat that way over the course of your lifetime, or say over 10 years, a pound of body fat every year from carbohydrate for 10 total pounds, I would say that's significant. Guess what? You probably won't do that. That is what the research shows. You might gain a few ounces. It's possible in extreme circumstances, you could gain a few ounces a year. Okay. Granted, for people say, well, I bet I could create an experiment to go further. Well, you probably could, but why would you kill yourself? Like, why would you destroy your body in that manner? You're going to have to really do some self-harm to pull this off. Now, granted, Americans, as a society, we're big on self-harm with our nutrition, so I get it. But back over to the point, we already knew this. Okay, so this was studied in humans because we had this hypothesis, and people were running around and saying, especially during the whole Atkins explosion, the Atkins diet, people were saying, oh, yeah, look, and we've got all these rat studies. We store sugar as carbs. Well, the problem is, common sense should say that's really shouldn't be the case. Without any studies, it's actually kind of a jump. You should be able to look at it and go, it really shouldn't be efficient. It's what's going to store as lipids easier, lipids or glucose? Which one's an easier, more convenient process? I mean, again, let's assume you've had high school level biology. Probably say, well, yeah, it kind of makes sense. Fat stores as fat easier than glucose stores as fat. They're not really molecularly the same. And we kind of know from looking at stuff that, yeah, you can determine a lot of the composition of someone's fat composition of their diet by biopsying their body fat, because it doesn't change the ratios as much. In other words, if you eat more saturated fat than monounsaturated fat, you're going to have probably higher ratios of that in your fat tissue, because that's what you're storing. And humans don't really do this, not to a significant degree. And I discussed that in the last video. Back then, when I made that video, we thought it was higher than it is. So the evidence is already saying it's at a very low amount. It's a little bit. More modern studies have shown that, and that's not what I was ranting about 10 years ago. I was saying it's a small amount. Now we kind of know it's way smaller. It's way smaller. than even what we thought back then. It's like maybe 10-15% of what we thought it might be. Because guess what? Technology's gotten better. The ability to measure things has gotten better. But for people who are like, this is new, this is not a new stance by me. I was saying this over 10 years ago on this channel. It's uploaded. The videos are there. Even then, back then, I said, yeah, it's kind of true. You know, the fat you eat is the fat you wear. I'm not saying all fat you eat gets stored, but that is where your body fat is coming from. Not really getting it from carbs. Not a lot of it, a little bit of it. And now we know it's like 1% of it. Okay? It's just not a thing. So I want to be clear. This is not a new position. This is not a flip-flop. This is something I was saying over 10 years ago. Keeping in mind that might even be a re-upload from my first channel. Okay, I started the new channel in 2013. I already had built a channel with like 40,000 followers and rebranded and started over in 2013. The original channel was 2012. I'm not sure if it's a re-upload or not, but it is there in existence over 10 years ago. Not a new position. So again, let us be clear. I've been saying this a long time. A lot of things that people accuse me of recently saying, if you go back and look, we said that 8, 9, 10, 11 years ago. For a lot of the people who chime in and criticize me, that's longer than you've been working out at all. Probably longer than you've been an adult. Let's be clear there. As to what about what you were eating? Well, I was still eating a carb heavy diet. When I was doing that lean bulk earlier this year, were my carb sources a little different? Yes. Why? Because eating 3,000 or 4,000 calories of brown rice or potatoes is kind of hard. So I ate a lot more watermelon, a lot more fruit, a lot more white rice. Okay. But were the ratios pretty similar? Was I eating really, really, really low fat? So people are like, what do you mean, where's your fat? My fat was coming from chicken breast and fish oil. Because, you know, once you go to watermelon and white rice, your fat's like 0 grams or like 1 gram a day. So I needed to get some of it from somewhere, so that's what I was doing. Now I'm not even sure fish oil is a good thing because supplements in general are garbage. I've been less than enamored with that. But we need to be clear here. The diet was predominantly carbohydrate, was still fairly high protein, right? And very, 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 very low fat. Meaning fat was comprising 5% maybe of my entire calorie intake. My total calories were higher. So therefore my carbohydrates are higher by default. Because my protein and fat are the same, but I'm eating, you know, an extra 1,000 or 1,500 more calories than I'm eating now. It has to come from carbohydrate. But that doesn't change the fact that I'm eating a very, very carb dominant diet now. It's just less because I'm eating less total calories. I'm stripping body fat, not lean bulking. Okay. And yes, the carb sources are slightly different. But I mean, if you're eating 1,500 calories from watermelon every day, that's a lot of plant material. That's a lot of phytonutrients. But yeah, there's oftentimes white rice and stuff in there too. You know, fill in the gap. Sometimes white pasta. Still starchy carbs. Still not refined sugar. And it's still not fat. So even that, so that criticism, it's really pretty similar idea. Yes, my diet is lower in total calories and higher in fiber at the moment when I'm cutting instead of lean bulking. Well, it kind of makes sense. That doesn't change the concept, the principles behind the diet. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys next time.